Hello and welcome back in the new 2022 year to it's episode 249, if you can believe it, of Sutton Impact Family Style. I'm Jason.
I'm Bill, and it's a fun week last week. Watching that last Steeler game on Monday night with Big Ben's last home game, and it was a lot of fun. And it was a lot more fun because I went to the FanDuel Lounge and I did a parlay on the Steeler game, and I bet the Steelers to win under 22 points in the first half, and that Najee Harris would score a touchdown, which kept me on the edge of my seat till the very, very end. But I bet 20 and won 110.
Nice.
And I got that thrill of sitting in the hotel room in that last minute, yelling "Run, Najee, run!" so we could win the bet. So it was a lot. It was a lot of fun. Besides the game and having that, and then also going to the Fiesta Bowl, which was was probably the second best game I've ever seen live in person after Super Bowl 43 with you.
Yeah. That's my best. I mean, it's hard to top a Super Bowl, let alone a Super Bowl with your favorite team, let alone with your team winning the Super Bowl in probably one of the most dramatic ways possible.
Yes.
And having
Super Bowl 43, I don't think it'll ever. I think I'll go to my grave and I will not have topped that one.
No, I mean, it also has, between the Santonio Holmes catch and then my favorite play all time, the James Harrison 99-yard interception return, like those are two of the greatest plays in Super Bowl history. So
yeah, it was amazing. So I mean, it was nice to, I got to watch Super Bowl 43 the other night when they were doing the Madden tribute, and they were showing his 10 best games that he called.
Yeah.
On NFL Network. And the sad thing was, I mean, Ben was so mobile in that game, and then now you see where he's not mobile at all. And it's time. So I mean, I think we've all come to the conclusion it's time.
Yeah. And again, he's at the very least, it seems like every expert, as Ben's retired, has puts him either between 10 and 15 on the all-time list, and those are all very subjective. But the fact that he's a first ballot Hall of Famer, and he is where he is. I mean, I did hear one thing, and this is something I think you could probably tell from listening to us talk about Ben over the years. Is I don't remember who came up with it, but they talk about the elevators, right? When you start, your athleticism is the top floor, and your brain is on the bottom floor. And that hopefully when you reach like between 26 and 34, those elevators are pretty close so that your brain is right where it should be, your physical ability is right where it should be, and you're getting the best of both worlds, and that's the prime of your career. And it seems like Ben was so good physically that he was able to win 2 Super Bowls and overcome a lot. But you watch him now, and I can't help but think about like if the Ben that was willing to dink and dunk that we watched for the first 15 years of his career, Heath Miller would be in the Hall of Fame right now. like,
Probably so, yeah.
And maybe they would have won more games. I mean, it's hard to argue. Like I said, he's a Hall of Famer. Never had a losing season.
No, I mean, and that's a great tribute.
Yeah, it's just, and again, I mean, you still had Brady, you had Breeze, you had Rodgers, you had Manning all in the league. So it wasn't like he was going to win. So 2 is, going to 3, winning 2 is probably, as good as you could be. But it just felt like he never quite had everything, including the health and off the field all working at the same time. But still, brought some incredible memories for us. So we're very thankful.
Yeah.
And then besides him not being the quarterback, Kevin Colbert, who's been the GM since 2001, is leaving the Steelers after the draft.
Or looks like he's leaving.
Oh, okay.
It's not confirmed.
Oh, it's not confirmed?
No, not confirmed.
Okay.
I mean, his contract goes till after the draft, and I don't think he'll announce anything until pretty close to that time.
Oh, they're already talking about his replacement on
on
Bleacher Report. They're already talking about his replacement.
Yeah, I mean, there's speculation, but I already saw the Pittsburgh paper where he came out and said he hasn't made a decision.
I see. Well, either way, a big shout out to him who's put a lot of talent on the field for the Steelers over the years.
Yeah, absolutely.
And for every Jarvis Jones and Limas Swede, there's been some absolute studs. Yeah.
It's still the most puzzling of all the picks that didn't work out.
Yeah, I obviously I've talked to you for my entire life about the Steelers, and 2 of the players I was most excited in my lifetime the Steelers drafted were Lyman Swede and Jarvis Jones.
Yeah, Lyman Swede was a just unbelievable bust, and it's hard to believe that he could be a bust.
Yeah.
When we saw him play in college, hard to believe. physical tools. Came out of a good program at Texas. I just didn't see that coming.
And the only reason he had slipped to the Steelers in the draft is he had missed most of the previous season with a hand injury. And it was just like, oh wow, we have this 6'4", 4'3", 40, awesome stud wide receiver to go along with Hines Ward. We're gonna win it all. And then he just busted out. And then obviously Jarvis Jones was just,
Yeah.
Well, there's not a ton of sports stuff. We got the national championship game coming up, and we've got
And
SEC.
I have no interest in watching. I mean, I'm not going to watch tomorrow night. I mean, I just don't know. I'm just so tired of Alabama and so tired of the SEC. And I think Alabama's going to beat them by 15 points, and I'm not going to watch it. I just don't want to watch it.
Yeah, I mean, neither of the games were good. I mean, Michigan couldn't have had a worse opponent than Georgia. Georgia's great at stopping the run. Michigan loves to run the football. So it was just a bad, right out of the gate matchup. And then,
I wasn't expecting anything in the other matchup, but that game I was expecting a close game. I really was.
well, I noticed, like, Cincinnati, besides Ritter, you have two pro prospects on that team that are talked about as, day two prospects, both the corners. No Michi. And it seemed like they should have just, played hard man and just taken their chances trying to get, Alabama to throw the ball every time instead of getting the ball run down their throats.
Yeah, it was just a mismatch on the lines. The
Yeah.
two lines were like totally different.
Like I said, it may not have mattered, but it seemed like if your two best players outside of Ritter are corners and they're missing their best receiver in Michi, and I'm sure Alabama has 50 other receivers, that they can bring up because they seem to just be churning them out now, but that maybe they could have had a different, but again, it may not have mattered.
No. But you know what? I got to see probably the best college bowl game.
I think in person.
State Notre Dame game. And that was just outstanding. I mean, it was like, I can't even say. I mean, it was like Notre Dame dominated the first half and Oklahoma State dominated the second half. And I didn't see either of those things coming. It was a lot of fun. And it was like, there was 50,000 people in a 65,000 seat stadium. And probably 30,000 of them were Oklahoma State fans. And it was a lot of fun.
It sounds awesome. And those were the two teams that were the closest to being in the playoffs that didn't make it.
Playoffs. Yeah. But you know what? If Oklahoma State would have played Alabama, they'd have got killed. And so I'm happy that in one season now, Oklahoma State beat Oklahoma, Texas, and Notre Dame. And that's probably the greatest year in Oklahoma State football history to beat those three teams in 1 year.
It's a very positive, good outlook on it.
That's it. And I enjoyed it and loved it and had a great time.
Well, you missed our best of episode, so you were out eating. So let's just roll into food right away.
Yeah, I mean, so we rolled into Phoenix on a week ago Friday, and we went right to Blanco, which is a Tex-Mex. And I had carne asada fajitas, and they were absolutely phenomenal. And I had been there in 2 years, because I'd been in Phoenix in 2 years. But that was a fantastic meal. And then Monday, I got to go back for a lunch meeting there, and I had the chicken fajitas, which were also good, but nowhere near as good as the carne asada fajitas. So if you're in Phoenix and you have a chance to go to Blanco, go to Blanco, because it was phenomenal. And then Jason has talked about Gus's fried chicken before, and I've talked about it before, but we went to the one in Phoenix. And I'll tell you what, if you like fried chicken, it's pan fried, which is by far my favorite way to cook fried chicken, not deep fried, pan fried.
Yes.
It's marinated in a spicy, buffalo sauce. Maybe it's not buffalo sauce, but a spicy sauce. And it's not overly done. I mean, it's not overly hot.
No.
It's spicy. It's really well done. You wait about 35 minutes because it's all cooked to order, which is great. So I had a 3-piece, I had 2 breasts and a wing, and coleslaw and baked beans, which weren't that great, for $14.
Yeah.
And sweet tea, $14.
Yeah, and the other thing is, if you're a fried chicken fan, like his dad said, it's got a nice bite to it, but it's not super spicy, and it's not overly breaded.
No.
Or overly greasy.
It's not greasy at all.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it comes to your table. I mean, you got to break the chicken open because it's really hot.
And juicy as hell.
Really cool off. And juicy. And, I mean, it's just phenomenal.
And if there is a knock at Gus's, they are not great at sides.
No, they're not. They're weak. I didn't try the mac and cheese. I guess I would get back and try the mac and cheese. But
It's
the baked
fine.
beans were terrible.
Yeah,
Mom loved the coleslaw because it was cool and it was a nice contrast to the spiciness of the chicken.
that makes sense. But everything else about them is phenomenal, and you can, I mean,
Phenomenal.
phenomenal.
Phenomenal. It's just a great place to go. And then we went and ate dinner at Steak 44, which is one of the best steakhouses in the nation. And had lobster mac and cheese, lobster and crab mac and cheese. We had steak. We had fried asparagus with parmesan, which was outstanding. Everything we had there was really good as well. But it was it's a high dollar meal, and I would take Taco or Gus's and be just as happy. But it was a great meal.
Nice.
Went to another place called the Dog House, which is a new hot dog and sausage place in Phoenix, and that was really, really good. I mean, I didn't have any bad. The only bad meal I had it delivered to my room to watch the Steeler game.
Oh,
And we had a pizza from a really good pizza place called Pomo. But, when you do a margarita pizza that's really thin with fresh mozzarella, it's soggy by the time it gets to you. I don't care how far away you are.
yeah.
So that was a little bit of a downer.
I'm surprised box technology is not advanced, especially as I'm sure somebody's got to be working on something. At the very least, when you
Yeah.
pop the two holes in the corners to at least release some of that steam,
Mm-hmm.
because I've seen a lot of places
Yeah,
don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, we had it delivered from DoorDash. I mean, so it's in that sleeve, which doesn't help either because it kept the pasta really nice and hot.
Right.
It makes the pizza soggy, so you can't win with the pizza.
Well, my high school friend who owned a place called Donato's, which still exists in Ohio, I think just Ohio, but they actually have frozen ones now too. But they had a piece underneath the pizza on the box so that the pizza didn't sit in any of the grease via pepperoni. They had the little stool to keep the top of the box from touching the pizza, and they had the holes in the box, which I know that raises the cost of your pizza. But I think now that we're more in a delivery universe, they need to find ways to make the pizza delivery more efficient.
Well, when I was growing up, we went to this place called DiCarlo's, and they had air holes in the pizza box, and that was in the 50s. So, I mean, it's, we've done it before. It lets the steam escape and, keeps the pizza, I guess some cool air gets in, but it gets the steam out so it's not soggy.
It's important. Even on one bite pizza reviews, which that guy, take him for what he's worth, but he said, all the good places like because he takes the pizza and walks out the restaurant, and all the top places like Farah and all those ones in New York, when they hand you your pizza, they have the box partially open to let that steam out. And then it's up to you to put the steam down. You put the box down, but it just makes sense.
Well, the only place I didn't go that was on my list of places to go was called The Yard, which is a milkshake bar. And everything looked, I don't think I would have wanted a milkshake with a piece of cheesecake in it or a milkshake with a whole cupcake in it. I don't think I would
it's a
have.
bit much.
But I would have liked to have gone just to check it all out. I might just got a regular milkshake, but I mean, they have some unbelievable looking milkshakes. But I didn't get to go there.
Oh.
I was just never, I was always so full, I never had the opportunity to go and do that. That's what I'll say.
Well, I'll give you my two big food moments from my Memphis trip.
Okay?
One is a restaurant that I feel like needs to be in every city, and I feel like there should be a low-end version and then the high-end version like we went to, and that was Flight. And people know, like, if you go to a restaurant and you get a flight of beers, you're going to get, a smaller portion of multiple beers. This place had wine, champagne, beer, cocktails you could get flights of. All their appetizers were flights. All their main dishes were flights, and all their desserts were flights. And we sent you guys the pictures. And
It's a great concept.
in a shout out, I mean, their steak, they have a steak flight, and their beef steak is from Snake River Farms, which we know is a phenomenal steak
I
place.
know that was good.
And and you can mix and match. You could just get the seafood trio. And again, it's probably like a regular side dish, and everything is probably like, for me, 3 bites, maybe for a smaller person 4 or 5 bites, and then you can move on to another. I mean, so you're getting just so much variety, and it's really good quality food. And I don't know why there's not bar places like that, where you get 2 mozzarella sticks, 3 chicken wings, and a jalapeno pot, whatever, like. It seems like such a fun concept where you get to have a little bit of everything,
Yeah.
And if Maria wasn't eating with as you know, I'm a legendary not adventurous eater. But if you're with 2 people, then you obviously get, six things and split everything and try everything. It could be like a whole, a whole thing.
Yeah. Oh, that
So,
sounds amazing.
and then the other place, we were walking back from, to our Airbnb, and there was a little bakery called Girls on a Whip, and it was absolutely phenomenal. They have just a big open kitchen with a little tiny counter, and they're just making everything behind you. We had some really creamy, delicious icebox lemon pie, and they were like the little. And again, this place did the nice little tiny portions. You can try a lot of different things. And it was just everything they did there looked amazing. So
This might be the most food we ever had in one episode.
well, you've been gone for a couple weeks, and we
Yeah.
both did vacation. Yeah,
And I also say that, at the stadium for the Fiesta Bowl, I had a prime rib sandwich, must have had a pound of prime rib on it for $15.
and I know you're not mad at that.
And Mom had what's called pizza box nachos, and it's just a pizza box full of nachos. With chicken on it and everything else. I mean, they were amazing, and that was $15.
It does not sound
I would
bad.
also say that the stadium where the Cardinals play had great. It's called State Farm Stadium, and they had really. We were on the club level, and that's where that food was, and it was really good.
Oh, and I guess our last food moment is it's New Orleans. We're past all King's Day or Saints Day, whatever it is. So we're officially in king cake season. And you know what's weird? If you don't know what king cake, I mean, there's lots of different varieties. The traditional king cake is basically like a circular cinnamon roll, and then it's got icing, and then you have the green, the yellow, and the purple sugar on it. We got a lemon one and a different one, but the tradition is they put these little plastic or metal babies in them,
Yep.
and if you get the baby, do you know what you get for that?
No.
I didn't know either. You don't get good luck for a year. You don't get a free piece of cake. You're obligated to buy the king cake the next time, is what you get for getting the baby. Which I think is kind of BS.
Interesting.
Because the lemon one we got, the lemon is basically like almost like a lemon mousse or pudding shoved through the middle of it. So, if you're eating with a fork, I almost choked on the little baby. And I'm like, and my result of this is I'm supposed to now go buy another king cake for people. It just,
Yeah.
I always thought it was like a good luck thing for the year, but it's not. If anybody wondered about New Orleans traditions.
Yeah.
And while we're talking New Orleans food, did you see the funniest moment in a long time from Shaq and Chuck on Inside the
No.
NBA? Apparently, so Zion Williamson, who was a New Orleans player, obviously, he's rehabbing in Portland, and the first thing Chuck says is they don't have food in Portland, which had Shaq just rolling for like 5 minutes. And he's like, those beignets are just crusty, dirty donuts. He's like, they got that voodoo donut up there. He's like, got to keep Zion away from that. And they just went on and on and on. It was.
It is sad. I mean, Zion is just. It's sad.
Yeah, but I just thought the
He
line,
hasn't
the
been
Portland
able-
line of they don't have food in Portland was just.
Yeah, they have good food in Portland, as a matter of fact.
They do, and like it was also especially funny because as Shaq is just wheezing and dying laughing, Chuck is just continuing to riff, and of course Ernie and occasionally Kenny are trying to get everything back on track, and that's why that show is so amazing because it's so just whatever happens, whatever said is said, and they just roll with it.
Yeah.
It does feel like friends hanging out talking about basketball, and so much less about you have 2 minutes to make this stupid point and scream and yell about it. So.
Well, another thing I want to talk about is I got to tour the Phoenix Suns Verizon 5G practice facility.
5G.
5G, and it is so high tech. And so James Jones, who's the general manager of the Suns, that won a championship with the Heat and won a championship with the Cavs with LeBron, is a GM, and so he led the tour that they had me set up on. And he was demonstrating some of the technology, and I get this computer program called NOAA, which ties into cameras that are put in the ceiling over the court and microphones. And when you take a shot, it tells you the arc of your shot. And the ideal, they know what the ideal shooting arc is. So you get immediate feedback as to whether or not you're in your correct range. So you can make an adjustment right there while you're shooting. So I thought that was pretty amazing.
Yeah, that's incredible.
And so I got to see that, and I was impressed with that. That was really good. I didn't see a game while I was there; they weren't playing. But it was fun. It was fun to go and be at the Suns and see where they are, and it's kind of cool.
Yeah. It looks like Derrick Henry will be back for the Titans this week in the play, or for next week for the playoffs.
For next week for the playoffs. And then tonight is the Raiders and the Chargers. Winning, you're in. And I've liked the Chargers a lot this year, but the Raiders seem to be playing really, really well right now. And it's in Las Vegas, and Derek Carr seems to have been pretty hot. And I'm thinking the Raiders are going to win and go in the playoffs.
And I like that their coach looks like a pit boss in Vegas.
Yeah, and they've overcome a lot. I mean, you had a player,
Henry Ruggs, yeah. The
Henry
Gruden
Ruggs,
stuff.
lost him, and he was involved in a fatal car accident. You fire your coach after all that other controversy, and you bounce back. I mean, so they're kind of a feel-good story.
And the
As much
Chargers,
as I like the Chargers,
yeah.
I just think the Raiders are going to get in.
The Chargers just feel like, yeah, I mean, I know they had a lot of injuries again, but they just seem like they're kind of just a disappointment. You know? And as much as it
And
pains us.
I don't see any way the Colts are going to lose to the Jaguars today.
No.
So that'll eliminate the Steelers and the Ravens. But whenever I say something like that, I'm usually wrong. That's why I was so happy when I did my parlay with FanDuel that I won after having lost almost all my bets all year.
Yeah. And then, I know we're a little all over the place today, but we'll get back to a normal cadence next week. But to come back to circle to our Steeler talk, good news. Baker Mayfield going to be the quarterback again next year, or at least on the team. So that's good Steeler news.
Yeah.
Bad Steeler news. The Bengals, first off, congratulations on winning the division. And
Joe Burrow looked really good.
Joe Burrow is awesome. T. Higgins is awesome. Jamar Chase, Nixon. Like, that offense, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the bad news for the Steelers. And obviously the Ravens, who had as many injuries as anybody's had in any season, if they come back healthy next year too, that's semi-bad news for the Steelers.
But we were expecting it. I mean, we're
We
going
were.
to transition year next year to see who our quarterback is and if we have to get a quarterback. So, I mean, it's going to be an interesting year.
It is.
Shout out to T.J. Watt. If he gets a sack and a half today, he'll break the sack record. And he'll break it in 15 games.
Yeah, and I was like, and unlike Cooper Kupp, who's having an amazing season.
Yeah. He's got a chance to set 3 records, I think, today, Cooper Kupp.
Yeah. And again, I mean, as if we didn't need to know why awards are silly, the writer for the Bears pretty much explained why awards are kind of stupid and silly by exposing his bias on not voting for Aaron Rodgers from before the season even started, he said.
That was stupid. That
Yeah.
was stupid. Speaking of stupid, how about Antonio Brown?
Just,
Do you think he gets another shot in the NFL?
I don't think he had one this time without Tom Brady. I think it took the greatest quarterback of all time to be like, I want him here. He can help us win. Because it's hard to see any. I mean, the only way I could see him getting a huge shot is if he stays in shape all next year, stays on teams' radars, and one of the contenders has a really bad injury or gets really thin at wide receiver and they have to go find somebody next year. But I would not bring him to camp.
Well, I tweeted out the other day, hello, Antonio. This is the USFL.
I don't know if he could stay there. I mean, I just, I do sort of
Somebody
feel.
will pay him because he'll get TV ratings. I predict he'll be on a USFL roster.
Yeah, I mean, it did expose. I mean, obviously, you saw the text messages. Bruce Arians knew about the injury. Like, that wasn't a lot. I mean, of all the lies Antonio Brown tells, that wasn't one of them. And then it does feel like an NFL organization. Like, he needed, I think, 8 catches, 70 yards, and a touchdown to get $1 million in incentives with 2 games left. And it seems like it would have been a pretty small investment just to guarantee those for a year and a half of Antonio Brown being whatever he was. He helped them win the Super Bowl and let him rest to be ready for the playoffs. I don't think that would have been the biggest deal on their part.
No, but he tried to make it like it wasn't about the money, too.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, those other interviews, it was about the money.
Mm-hmm.
So you just can't melt down like that. I mean, it's just,
No.
You can't quit on your team. Even though he says he didn't quit on his team, he got fired. So.
And as a lot of people have said, like, as crazy as he always was, like, after that Burpfleck hit that looked like it could have murdered him, he came back slightly crazier. I mean, whatever's going on with all the hits he's taken has definitely not helped his health and his mindset.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm just going to go back to our best of where I left off. Two shows I've watched recently that are already two of my favorite shows of last year. And the first one on Hulu, you can watch Reservation Dogs. And it's absolutely a wonderful show. It's coming back for a second season. It takes place on an Indian reservation, or Native American reservation, sorry. And it's all indigenous actors, and they do a phenomenal job. It's a really good show. It's sweet. It's funny. It's really, really good. And then the second show that we just watched this past week was Yellow Jackets. And that show has me hooked.
And we're going in. Well, are you up to 9 and 10 now? You up to the last two? You caught up?
We've seen 9. I didn't know 10 was 10 available?
No. When did 9 become available?
This morning.
Oh, okay, this morning. Yeah, I'm kind of dreading 9. I think 9 is going to be really graphic and really scary.
It's got some scary moments, but it's not graphic. I'll just,
Okay. So we'll watch that today.
Yeah.
And then I had talked about Nightmare Alley with Bradley Cooper. Well, this morning on Turner Classic Movies, they played the original Nightmare Alley with Tyrone Power and Joan Blondell, and I will tell you, it was better.
Wow.
Than the Bradley Cooper version. But I found out, it has a different ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess the novel, which I have not read, he characterized the novel as one of the most, if not the most, depressing novels in American literature history.
That's incredible. That's a pretty high bar, or low bar, depending on how you would find that.
So that was said by the host of the Noir. And he said so that the theater forced them to give hope at the end. Like the Bradley Cooper one doesn't have any hope at the end, the new one.
Okay.
The original has hope at the end.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy, because there's a lot of really depressing American novels.
Yeah, but I could, after having seen it now twice, I would never read the novel. It was depressing enough just to watch the movie.
Oh, wow. Oh, and a special shout out to Dexter for finally giving us the ending we deserved.
Okay.
Dexter, obviously, I mean, I think anybody that watched it, it's a very silly show. At times, it just goes just off the rails and the stupidity of everybody around him. But, I know the story was basically that, the writer and the actor wanted to end it a certain way, and Showtime did not want their cash cow to end back then when that was like their only, network or big time, original content.
Mm-hmm.
So they were forced to do like a silly thing of keeping him alive. And this last season, they were able to sort of like move 10 years into the future, show where Dexter is, and sort of end it in a way that feels satisfying if you're a Dexter fan, I would say. There'll still be times where you're trying to figure out if it's bad acting at times or if that's what the director wanted and some other silliness in the writing, but, it ended very satisfyingly, is all I'll say for anyone who wants to go watch if you're into Dexter.
Okay.
Also on Showtime with Yellow Jackets. Yeah.
I guess next week we'll get into our NFL playoffs and we'll start. We didn't do any NBA today, so we'll do some more NBA.
Yeah, we did the Zion
See
piece,
yeah.
but
And we can recap the national championship if there's anything to recap. And the final rankings will have been out, so we can look at the final rankings of the college team. So lots of things going on.
Yeah, and we can talk about Charlie Batch offering a player $1 million to transfer to his school.
Yeah, and we can talk about Big Ben's farewell and how he was treated in Baltimore.
Indeed. All right, so until next week, stay safe. Keep wearing your masks and all that good stuff. Because apparently we're reliving this nightmare for a third year in a row. So,
yeah.
just be safe.